Welcome back to my channel and to the series of books I've read. And I know it's been a very long time since I've done a book in this series because the first book that we'll talk about took me so long to get through. It just was taking me forever. So let's catch up with books I've read. Stardust Melodies, the biography of 12 of America's most popular songs by William Frywald, Pantheon Books, copyright 2002. So I was thinking, I eagerly approached this book. I'm thinking, this is great. This is the subject matter. I'm really interested in reading about music history, etc., and pop music, whatever history would interest me. And not so much pop music, but these are like standards. And I'll tell you that the 12, it is a biography of the 12 of America's most popular songs. And I'll tell you the 12 songs, kind of a substantial book that that the author looks at or goes through or talks about. They are Stardust, the St. Louis Blues, Mac the Knife, Old Man River, Body and Soul, I Got Rhythm, As Time Goes By, Night and Day, Stormy Weather, Summertime, My Funny Valentine, and Lush Life. So what this book is she takes each story, each song, and tells you the history of it to begin, like how the song came about, anecdotes or stories about how it was written. Some of these were like parts of musicals, or sometimes they were part of an earlier musical that was somewhat failed, or it didn't feature that song, and they revived the song in another musical, and it really took off in that second musical and whatnot. So that part of it was interesting to me, the history of the songs themselves and how they were written and how the different ways in which they became popularized, although most of them did seem to come from musical theater, Broadway and such. Where it gets like really sticky is there is also a lot of what I would call more technical writing in here, where there's with each song a very long discussion about the pattern, whether it's A A C A B A C A B C A D, whatever, which I kind of understand. I have a limited understanding of some of that, and there's a long discussions about the different versions of the song, and the earlier versions and the later versions and the in-between versions, and every version and everybody who did this and that and the other thing with it, or did this and that and something else. And again, some of these versions I'm familiar with, some of them I'm not. You get kind of boggled down in a lot of musically technical information about the songs, and then about the different versions that get quite detailed. And I just found that as much as I kind of wanted to absorb the information in this book, that it was something about the writing style, I will say as well, just hard to read, like kind of going through it, struggling to get the information out of it that I wanted in a way that I could enjoy. And I just found I was not enjoying with it, but I kept going and kept going and kept going. And like I said, this book took me forever to get through it. And in fact, I did not get through with it, because by the last 3 songs, somewhere in here, I was like, John, why are you reading this? You have 600 million books to read that you'll enjoy. And this one, while the subject matter I'm very interested in, I don't want to be reading this book anymore. I'm tired of it. I don't really like the way it's written, and I'm just going to stop. So I didn't really quite finish it. I got about 3/4 of the way through and said, I'm not spending another day of my reading on this book, because it's a struggle. So you might enjoy it. I don't know. I didn't like the writing style, and for me, I got weighed down in too much musically technical discussions about the songs themselves, and too much discussion, too detailed of a discussion about the various versions and renditions of them. I am familiar with a lot of this older music, and I did know some of what they were talking about, but it was just too much, and so I didn't quite finish it. That's Goodbye Stardust Melodies. Designed for hi-fi living, the vinyl LP in mid-century America by Janet Borgerson and Jonathan Schroeder. The Massachusetts Institute of Technology Press, copyright 2017. So I was super happy when this book came in the mail. As I was reading that one, I had ordered this, and it's very unusual for me to order a relatively new book. I generally find things at thrift stores and whatnot, but it's kind of rare for me to order a book and pay a good amount of money for it. That's kind of unusual. But this one, I don't know. I had read some recommendations of it, and I just thought, I want this book because I was in the mood to be reading about music and records. And this is really an enjoyable book. Now, granted, it is a coffee table book, in the sense that it's a lot of pictures. There's pictures on, every other page. And it is kind of a book that you're sort of just meant to look at and really enjoy the pictures. And then there is writing on the other side of every page about the record album that they're showing. This is designed for hi-fi living. So the vinyl record in mid-century America, that's a subject near and dear to my heart. But as you can see, as we leaf through here, it's all a bunch of records, different records from this mid-century America, sort of all in the easy listening, space-age bachelor pad kind of music. And there's a write-up about each record or the subject matter, something about the history of it, something about the artists, what may have been going on with the different labels releasing certain records and certain images, cover images, and funny things about that. So not exactly like a scholarly book, if you know what I mean, but there's definitely a lot of information in here if you're interested in the subject matter, which I am. And there was also, especially, I thought it was interesting to read about like some of the series that were done, like Capitol's, Capital of the World. Capitol Records did a Capital of the World series that was all these international records, and there was also one on Columbia as well, a different series, and they have most of those in here and discussions about those. So this was a book. It is tongue-in-cheek also. I like the writing because they're enjoying what they're doing, but they're also poking fun at the genre and the idea of what was going on at this time and the images that were being created. I thoroughly enjoyed this book. It is definitely, to me, it's one of those books that you hang on to. This will not be donated to somebody or be going on. This is just, I keep this in my collection. It's definitely a book that I look at and enjoy the pictures after you've already read it. So I liked this book a lot, and I would recommend it for anybody very much that's into lounge music or easy listening or just the history of like vinyl records themselves. It's a great book.
Greetings. Do you hear voices? I hear voices. The voices of Walter Schumann. You can hear them too on Moody Mood Music on live365.com. Instruments and voices, all from our vinyl past. Please join me, and you too can hear voices. Moody Mood Music. The link is below in the description.
The Night Fire, Michael Connelly, Little Brown and Company, New York, copyright 2019. So this one, The Night Fire by Michael Connelly, was actually gifted to me by a friend who got it for me at a thrift store. sort of without knowing that much about it, except he just had a feeling it would be something I would enjoy. So, and I did actually really enjoy it. And it's not the kind of a book I would normally pick up myself. So, that was interesting because it is like sort of a detective murder mystery sort of thing, which I don't usually get myself, but occasionally. But it's a good story. I enjoyed it. And this is a pretty recent book too, so it's not something old. Uh, but it is, as I said, a detective or murder mystery, like trying to figure out. And it's the story of two people, a retired cop and a young female cop who has been demoted sort of to a bad graveyard shift as a result of a sexual harassment suit, unsuccessfully, I guess, that she filed against her partner or something, or boss or whatever. And old boy network and stuff, it didn't work out that well for her, so she kind of got demoted. And then these two people know each other, and they actually connect up on a cold case that the retired cop kind of discovers and starts to wonder about and starts to kind of work on his own a little bit, what might have been going on, and she helps him out in that. And then she is also at the same time investigating a not a cold case, but a current case of a homeless person who died in a tent fire. Yeah, and it didn't quite. They just thought it was an accident, but she just felt something wasn't quite right about it and starts investigating as well. And so, and I mean, I'm not giving away anything because you can figure it out, but you you realize, at some point you think, oh, I think these two cases are going to end up being connected somehow. The cold murder case from a long time ago, and this current homeless person being dying in a fire in their tent. And they do end up being connected. But it's quite a good story, a lot of twists and turns, and I enjoyed the characters. And I went through it pretty quickly. It was a fairly fast read, so for me, which is always a good sign, I liked it. What is it called again? The Night Fire, Michael Connolly. Yep. Secret Societies by William Holden from Bold Strokes Books Incorporated, Valley Falls, New York. Copyright 2012. Okay, last book. This one here, Secret Societies by William Holden. Yeah. Okay. I mean, I did read the back before I picked it up, so I was aware of what it was, but it just was different than what I thought. Because this is not about, like, the Freemasons or that kind of secret society. This is set in the late 1700s in England, and it is the story of a young, probably like 18-year-old guy, 17, 18-year-old guy who is very wealthy family out in the countrysides in England somewhere, and he is I mean, he's gay. They don't really use that terminology because, of course, it wasn't around at that time. But he's essentially sort of discovered and sent to like a boys' school somewhere to get, reformed or whatever. Things just don't work out quite that way. And he ends up actually getting disinherited from his father. And so he goes off to London, where he's never been before or never lived before, and to kind of make his way in the world. So this is really the story of this very young guy, gay guy in 1700s in London, trying to figure out how to get by or where to go. It's kind of his story, right? Secret societies, meaning more like underground, homosexual groups or people that know each other that are kind of looking out for each other. So anyway, what what do I say about this? Like, disappointing in that I didn't realize when I got it quite, because obviously I didn't read it, but it's really basically very pornographic, and it's very, very graphic in the way that it's written. It's not at all. Let's say, have you ever read Interview with the Vampire? You know, the Anne Rice novels are extremely erotic. Like, phew, I could just break out into a sweat 100 times reading those books. They're beautifully written and very, very erotic and very suggestive without being remotely graphic. And this is not like that. This is kind of like, you know, it's like reading kind of bad pornography. I don't know, like a bad porno film, or it's just like, you know, the characters are there. The story is interesting. Like, you're interested in the story, and then it's just, but it's like every character that's introduced, you know, like within like 2 or 3 pages, they're going to be having sex with him. I mean, like every character that's introduced, you know, okay, when's it coming? And then it's just, it's all like, oh, he stuck his sha-sha there and foo-fooed this and he did that and they groaned that. And like, it's so graphic, not like really artistically written at all. To me, not erotic at all. It was just like, and I would have just like not finished it, except it's not that big of a book. And the truth of the matter is the story is sort of compelling, and there's things that happen that kind of keep you going, okay, you know, what's going to happen? Well, how is he going to get out of this situation? Or what, you know, that part of it was interesting, but I just wish I got to where I just sort of skipped reading the sexual interaction parts, because they were just totally graphic and they were all the same and you knew what they were doing. It was just like, yeah, okay, whatever. I don't need this ridiculous description that does nothing for me. So, yeah, I mean, call me a prude. I'm not a prude, really, even remotely, but bad porno is bad porno. I mean, it's not written. The sex parts are not written well to me remotely, but the story was interesting, you know, from a historical perspective, because some of this is based on fact and some actual organizations that did exist in London at that time. So, yeah, I don't recommend it, but you know what? It's short and whatever, you know. Anyway, that's it. Those are the books I have read over the past however long it's been. Mainly because Stardust Melodies took me so forever. I should have stopped reading it like less than halfway through and said done with it, but I didn't. I kept trying, and that's what took so long for me to get through. These other ones I went through much more quickly. So that's it. I'll be back with another one. Hopefully it won't be that long. Hopefully just maybe another month or so, and I'll have several books that I can talk about. But that's what I've read lately. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. If you've read any of these books or have any comments about them, please leave your comments below in the comments section, which is where they belong, right? Have a good day. We'll talk to you next time.